Welcome back to the Mashed Potatoes Outdoor Show. Today I'm going to teach you how to build a food dehydrator so you can make beef jerky while camping. So here's my dilemma. I'm getting ready to go on another camping trip, Bozeman, Montana this time. And I love beef jerky because it fits perfectly into my keto diet. But if you buy it at the store, it comes with all kinds of preservatives. It costs over $20 a pound. And they typically add all kinds of sugar and stuff to it. So I've been dying for the longest time to learn how to make it on my own. I'm hooked on these shows where they homestead in like Alaska and whatnot. They make their own smoked fish and beef jerky. And so that's what I want to try and replicate. The biggest issue that I've run into is that these food dehydrators that you buy at the store tend to be suck a lot of energy. And so I have a solar generator which came with a $1,000 watt power station, and most of these food dehydrators run at around 600 watts per hour. So that would drain my solar generator in just about an hour and a half. And I've done a little bit of research here about what it takes to dry out your own meat, and here's what I found out. So warm, dry air of a low humidity, about 30%, and relatively small temperature differences between day and night is optimal. Intensity and duration of the drying process depend on air temperature, humidity, and air circulation. Drying will be faster under high temperatures, low humidity, and intense air circulation. Fat must be trimmed off so the meat doesn't go rancid. You want to trim your strips of meat into about 1/8 of an inch of thickness or less. This prevents flies from laying their eggs in the meat and also speeds up the drying process. And the test to see if your jerky is done is whether you can crisply break a piece in half. So I was reading an article on the Outside Online, the magazine publication, and this guy says that he was actually able to dry meat. He lives in the Southwest where it's nice and dry. And he hung up strips out in the sun and it dried in about 8 to 16 hours. So that kind of gives me an idea. I'm not sure what the humidity level is going to be in Bozeman, Montana, but I'm thinking that I just really need to let the dehydrator go for maybe 24 hours and then see where I'm at. So I've got a plan, and we'll put it together today, and then in my next video I want to try out some recipes and actually try to make some beef jerky. So I'm going to turn this camera around and show you what I bought. I will give you specifics as to where I bought it and prices and all that good stuff. So don't go anywhere. Alright, so I mentioned that the main obstacle in the food dehydration process while I'm camping and using my solar generator is the energy efficiency. In addition, I want something that's small, something lightweight. My Subaru Impreza doesn't haul a whole lot of weight, and my camper is already heavy enough. So let me start out by showing you what I bought, and then I'll go ahead and go through the assembly process. So as you know, air circulation is super important when it comes to drying out your meat. So I found these wire baskets here. I got 2 of them, and my plan is to kind of invert them like this. Put them together so we get plenty of air circulation, and not only that, but it's like a wire, it's like a mesh, almost like a screen to keep the bugs out, because I mentioned that another issue is that flies can actually lay their eggs in your meat. So this will allow for air circulation, and it'll prevent the bugs from getting on my meat. And that was, I got those from Walmart. That's just a steel mesh basket. Those were $6.88 a piece. And then what I'm going to do for air circulation is I found this battery powered fan. We're going to give this a shot. It runs on 6D batteries. So the fan itself was about $20, and then the batteries were about another $12. So that's a little bit of an expense, but what that's going to do is allow me to run this on batteries, and I don't even have to draw any power from my power station, which is gonna be huge, especially if it's gonna run for like 24 hours. All right, so now for my heat source. I found this clamp light at Walmart, and the harder issue was to find a light bulb that produced any heat, because most of the bulbs these days are LED, which don't really produce any heat. But at the house here I found a 40-watt bulb, which should give off enough heat to well, first of all, produce some heat, but also produce like a constant temperature. As I was talking about earlier, constant temperature is kind of important. So the bulb didn't cost anything because I had that here at the house. The clamp light was $6.47, so that's not too bad. What I also bought, because as you know, humidity is super important, this is called a hygrometer. And this is a fairly cheap one, so I don't know, I might end up buying a little bit better one. This shows temperature and humidity level, and that was $3.87. Eventually I might want to buy just a little bit better one. So then my plan, in order to hang the meat, is I went to Home Depot and bought this piece of wood here, and I'll show you. I cut it into 2 strips. So I'm going to put 1 strip here, 1 strip here, and then that'll give me something to screw some hooks into, and I'll show you how I do that here in a minute. So let's talk about this piece of wood. Didn't cost a whole lot. It's actually a bigger piece. I cut it down. Looks like it was 4 feet altogether. It was $2. So you could probably have scrap wood at home that will work as well. So these hooks that I got, they're like little screw eyes that will screw into the wood. And then I got these hooks here that will hook onto that, and I'm hoping that I can hook the meat right onto that. And I'm thinking this stainless steel will also help prevent bacteria built from building up on the hooks. So let's talk about the prices of those. What are those? Okay, so each one of those, I got 3 of them here. Each one of these cost $1 a piece, so that's $3 there. And then this is kind of negligible, but in order to keep this basket together here, I'm going to use, let me show you, right in this section here. One of my YouTube subscribers suggested this. These gear ties, bought them on Amazon, and I think they're meant for kind of wrapping cables and stuff like that, but they're just, I can just put it in there and wrap it around, and that should hold the 2 baskets together because the meat will be hanging from the top. So the nice thing about this is that it's quite expandable. The heat will be coming from the outside, the air will be coming from the outside, so I could put 2 or 3 of these side by side if I wanted to. So that's enough talking, let's get to building. Alright, the first thing I need to do is get these 2 pieces of cedar wood installed on the top to give something for the screw eyes to lock into. I was pretty happy with the cedar wood choice. It's a nice soft wood so that I can screw into fairly easily, and the 2 pieces sitting side by side covers almost the whole top of it. So I wasn't quite sure if the screw eyes would go through that mesh basket, but I was assuming that it would. I just wanted to be careful and not put that screw in the countertop of my roommate's condo. So I sped up this process a little bit because it did take some time. I put all 10 of them in there. I put the first 2 right in the middle of the wood, and then later on I kind of staggered them. I figured I could take them out if I needed to. But there's the first 2. 8 more to go. So I'm really curious to find out how much meat I can dehydrate with these 10 hooks. You know, it'd be cool if I could do a full pound. I don't know if that's going to happen because once it's dehydrated, I'm sure it loses a lot of its weight, but maybe a half a pound. And if it only takes, you know, say 16 hours to dehydrate, I could do a new batch every couple days. So now I'm putting 2 into the other end and secured it to the top. I struggled to see whether or not you could see those screw eyes in the camera, so that's why I kind of looked there into the camera like an idiot for a minute. And then here I started staggering them a little bit. I can move them around later if I need to, but while I finish up this process here, I did want to mention a few things. When I was doing some research for, there's 6 of them all together. When I was doing some research about drying out meat, I found a couple of really good links, and I'll add them to the description of this video. The first one is Popular Mechanics did an article titled The 9 Best Food Dehydrators for Your Kitchen. So I'll add that link, and what I found out is that the average of those 9 dehydrators used 588 watts. So the cool thing about my dehydrator is that the fan is battery powered and the light bulb is only 40 watts. So I'm actually only going to be using 40 watts. And boom, there's 10. And then as I continue this, I'll talk a little bit more about these other links. Those S-hooks are 2 different sizes. Walmart only had 1 of each left over at the store, so there's 4, I think, big ones and 6 small ones. But the other 2 links I'll add to the description as well. One of them is, let's see here. What's the most effective primitive method of preserving meat? That's from the Outside magazine. And there's another one called Simple Techniques for Production of Dried Meat. Principles of Meat Drying, I'll add that as well. Those will be helpful if you're serious about drying out your own meat. And then I'll add these hooks to the top here. I know that stainless steel helps prevent bacteria buildup and whatnot, so I thought this would be a good choice. We'll see when the time comes to actually start making some dehydrated meat or some beef jerky, how easy that meat goes on there, I'm not sure. Also, after I finished this video, I did some brainstorming and I came up with 2 modifications to this contraption that I'll show you at the end of this video. One of them has to do with the heat source, and one of them has to do with stacking these mesh bins on top of each other. And so you'll want to stick around for that. Alright, here's the hygrometer, and then I will continue to drop that onto the floor. I thought for sure it was going to break. I thought, I broke it. I was talking smack about it being so cheap. So I think that'll be a nice addition, because if the humidity is 60 or 70%, I might struggle to dry my meat out, but if it's 30 or 40%, I think it'll be perfect conditions. So as you can see, it doesn't sit perfectly on top, so I found a solution for that. And then putting these gear ties in was kind of a struggle because the mesh bins don't sit great on top of each other. So be sure to stick around for the end of the video and I'll show you these 2 modifications that I came up with. I had to speed up this process because it took me quite a while. And then the other side. So as you can see, it went together quite well. A couple recommendations for you. First of all, this wood that you use up here, it was not easy screwing in those little eye hooks. So definitely you want to use a softer wood. I think this is a cedar. You wouldn't want to use a hardwood. It might be a little bit too hard to screw in, unless you're just going to use a drill and go all the way through. That would be another solution as well. These hooks look like they're going to work quite well. The reason I put 2 on top of each other is because I wanted more height. I'm not sure how long the meat is going to be, and I didn't really want the meat touching the bottom. Plus this will allow for more air circulation. So I had to mess with the gear ties just a little bit, but it seems to be sitting pretty good. I thought I'd put the hygrometer right on the inside. As you can see here in Colorado, we're at like 32% humidity, so this actually might be ideal for trying my first batch of jerky. And then so what I'm going to do is just put the fan on it like this, and put the heat source on it and give it a go. I know there's a ton of recipes online. Let me turn this camera around. So there's a ton of recipes online. Some of them use sugar, some of them don't. I think all of them use salt, which I think just helps to preserve the meat, remove the moisture and that kind of stuff. So my next video, I'm actually going to try a batch. Install this right here in the kitchen and let it sit for 12 hours, see how it looks. Let it sit for another 12 hours and see how it looks. And I'm pretty excited about this. My camping trip to Bozeman starts in May. I'm going to be there for a full month. And if I can make my own beef jerky, that would be amazing. So that's all I've got for you today. Thanks for watching the Nash Potatoes Outdoor Show. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. We will see you next time. So here are the two solutions I came up with, the modifications. I used a mixed nut jar and put the clamp light inside of it. Actually removed the clamp and just set it inside, and then I was able to cut out a hole for the extension cord. So that'll allow the heat to kind of concentrate a little bit and rise up towards the top. I thought that would enhance the drying process. And then as far as the solution for stacking the two mesh bins on top of each other, I bought some popsicle sticks and put one in each corner. And that allows them to sit almost perfectly on top of each other. And at that point, the gear ties almost aren't necessary. But I'm pretty happy with this solution. I'm gonna try some beef jerky in my next video. So be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel.